Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Aquarius Rising Africa. Definitely your hostess with the mostest, because we are going to be talking about an incredibly interesting and intriguing topic this evening. And I'm again with Chris Laterreur, who you all know from the Montauk chair, Montauk survivor. We've chatted with him a couple of times before. Um, Today we're going to be talking about the connection of MK Ultra to the BDSM culture. So of course this is not for sensitive viewers. I highly suggest that if you get triggered by stuff like that, you probably want to scroll on, or just be aware that there are some probably going to be talking about some sensitive and triggering topics. But as always, you get it first right here on Aquarius Rising Africa. So without any further ado, ta-da. Chris, it's so awesome to see you again. How are you?
I'm good, and you? Nice to see you.
I'm also good, thank you. Yeah. Well, we've certainly had some interesting conversations in the last couple of weeks since you've been a guest on Era. And I must say, I'm absolutely fascinated by your story and what's gone on in your life, especially behind the scenes. I think, as I've said to you so often, I always look at what happens around people, like with survivors and stuff. You've certainly had a lot to deal with. And, recently, part of our conversations, you then brought to my attention the connection between BDSM and MK Ultra. Wow, that is makes perfect sense actually. But thank you so much for joining me. So welcome. And yeah, I would love to hear a little bit about. Well, let's start off by where you are now. I mean, I know you've walked quite a path and you've had so much to share. And I know you are also definitely one of the survivors that chooses to keep a lot of your stuff private. So I'm really appreciating that you are speaking with us about this topic. So, where are you at? And at this stage in your life, after everything you've been through, and what brings you joy?
Um, I'm just like kind of the after healing. Like I'm still healing a bit from this. It's gonna be like a long process, but like the main part is dealt with, is processed. So yeah, like I'm just like new kind of like starting back. Like motivated at least, like like because like I didn't have any motivation at the end, and like like just realizing all this was like really overwhelming on my life, but now it's way better, and yeah, like I'm happy about this.
That's amazing.
So
It's good to hear. It's good to hear that healing is happening for you.
yeah.
So, we're going to be talking further on about BDSM and MK Ultra. So, maybe we can start. I'll start by asking you, how did you get involved with BDSM?
um at first was just like because like kind of I had this in me, like like kind of the rough guy a bit, like like when it comes to like sex, I like to grab the hair, or like, slap her, like stuff like that. And I the handler, when I got out of the jail, um she was into BDSM, and like she kind of pushed me through this, like to uh, how to become master and uh, all those techniques, like like the book of control and like a bunch of stuff to but BDSM is a practice and culture, and it's a wide variety of different fetishes and yeah,
Right.
it touches a lot of subjects. So yeah, yeah, from there, I was kind of a regular thing in the to be the BDSM, in the relation I had with her. And yeah, we kind of explored. Well, she was kind of making me explore at some point, and
Oh,
at the beginning, for sure, I wasn't like the one that initiated this, but yeah, some point we kind of developed a trust or in that kind of situation. But yeah, it builds there's in anything, you have to have balance, and BDSM is not all bad, it's not all good. You just have to put your kind of find the right balance for
right.
yeah, but yeah, for sure it's a link, because the same process, if you go in the BDSM, that's like more hardcore, there's hypnose, there's a subspace, in subspace, if you talk about the state of being in subspace, it's really like you're dissociating, you're being you're falling on kind of neutral, when you're in the subspace state, you're anything goes, you have no sensor, you have nothing, you're kind of like tone, but with the mix of endorphin, of dopamine, and uh, it all kind of makes a buzz in your brain, you dissociate, and this is brought by mixing pain and pleasure, balancing everything, and when you fall on this on the subspace, you're kind of dissociated, you're in the comfiest part of your mind, kind of thing, like you have
I
no
want I want to get I want to get into that subspace more because I think that that is probably, as you say, that whole um, pain pleasure combination that takes you to what would be called in BDSM the subspace, where I guess that's the state of bliss almost, where that is derived through the combination of the pain and the pleasure. So in that space, what you're saying is that that is when someone becomes very pliable. You can
yeah,
manipulate them then. You
yeah, you
can
can,
actually get them to do things that they would not ordinarily do. That to me sounds similar to taking like hard drugs. So would you, I mean, are there drugs involved with that?
BDSM, some people take some drugs, but you better not, because this can go far. BDSM, there's the limit is the trust you have with your partner. You're doing this because to do this, stone with anybody, that's dangerous. Oh, sorry about that. Give me a second. There's a cat outside. I don't know. Give me
Sure.
30 seconds.
No worries. No worries.
Yeah.
Okay. We're back to recording again. Sorry, we just had a little bit of a interruption there. I think what I find really interesting about what you're saying, and I want to actually just reverse a little bit first, if you don't mind, before we get there, because I've got a couple of questions I have for you. Um, in terms of early childhood experiences with the MK Ultra, and of course with the BDSM, because it would seem to me that the early childhood experiences were so extreme, right? That you literally, there was that combination of pain and fear, adrenaline, right? From being tortured, abused, waterboarded, whatever it was, that you had only two options really. You're going to die, or you're going to um,
Cope. Yeah. Like
leave your
dissociate
body,
and cope. Yeah. Like,
dissociate, right?
yeah.
So that becomes something that you would do as a kid. I get, you were trained through that extreme pain. And then I would imagine leaving the body, astral projecting out of your body at that extreme moment must be such a relief, right? Um, from the pain that you suddenly in space. Or I know some survivors have spoken about them riding unicorns or something like that, that there's no pain anymore. You've left, you're now out there in the wild, in the blue yonders rather, and you can just be. I would see that as a similarity. Have you seen that in your life as a similarity to what you experienced as a child, and then obviously as an adult, as a BDM master? Because I would imagine that would give you a sense of control, which is
Yeah.
possibly what you never had as a child
Yeah.
in those situations. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. For sure. There's a link. Through all the what I went through, I know pain. I know how, so yeah, it was kind of crazy. A lot of people that are survivors of MK Ultra are into BDSM. Like, there's a lot, like, because it's kind of a feeling of, like, like power exchange, or
Hmm.
and like, yeah, like kind of a relief at some level, like to be in
There's
control, to
something
be
that
uh, like, if you're in
it's
control,
almost,
like, it's like you gain something, and like if you're submissive, you also gain something, because like, often the people that are submissive are the people that are in control, like most of the time, like, and like, like good jobs, and like, in charge of a bunch of stuff, and like at some point they just want, like, in those little moments they want to be like nothing to deal with, like they want to be
right,
yeah.
right. It's If you've come across survivors in the BDSM world,
Yeah.
would you treat them differently if you knew that they were coming from that space? So
Yeah.
does it
Like,
mean that you would or do you I mean, I guess
Yeah,
what I'm asking you is that is there a limit for you to say no, I'm not doing that, or do you do it because they are wanting you to do it? Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you have a limit in
yeah, like
terms of what you prepared to
yeah.
do
There's a limit.
or were
Like
prepared to do?
yeah, there's a limit. Like everybody has hard limits, and like those like there's checklists of like the practices and stuff, and those checklists are used a bit for that to see like what level the people are at, and to uh, to see like their real self, you know, and after like from what they fill out on those checklists, like you work with this and you try to push their limits, like beyond limits. Yeah, so that's uh, that's
Right,
what they usually want,
right,
like the
absolutely.
people. So yeah, just to be
Are there any boundaries? I mean,
oh
are there any boundaries in these scenarios? So, I mean, how does one understand what the boundaries are? How do you say, are there safe words? Are there, I mean, and what is the, because I can imagine, yes, it can be something kinky between couples that you have to have that incredible trust that you can really push each other to the limit, but no, you can but still have that person that you trust, that has got your back, even though you kind of flying out on a limb. I can get that. That's quite a bonding experience, actually. But then I can imagine there are people out there who are total sadists and who are probably doing stuff like this because they
I think
really have a
crazy.
desire. So, talk to us on that. How would you see the difference, as someone who is observing what's going on in this establishment, and how do you discern who's allowed in and who isn't? Do you understand what I'm saying? There's
Yeah.
Okay. I'd love to hear your take on that.
Well, first for sure, there's safe words like when you're doing a session or whatever. There's always a safe word, a safe sign. If like example, like you're tied up and you can't like talk or whatever. You gotta be able to do a sign or like without uh, being restrained. So like you have to like organize this with a safe word or and safe sign between the submissive and the dominant. There's also like the green, yellow, and red. That's like international. Just like if you're like reaching yellow, like go slower. Like red is stop. Like green, like go full blast. Like it's pretty much the standard like in BDSM. So, but like you for sure, like when you're in relation, like you develop like different rules, different like like you adapt your couple to your desires or a situation that like you want. Like so, that's the
So I want to just again, just kind of put this in a nutshell. You were obviously, after you were arrested, you went to prison. You came out of prison, after being there for 2 years. You met a woman who was into BDSM and
yeah.
pretty much sort of coerced you in a way. I mean, you would have definitely, I mean, I'm not blaming, I don't want to blame, but I'm just saying, obviously, there would have been an interest from your side as well, obviously, for you to go there, right? So you then got introduced by her, friends, etc. What took you onto the role of being a dominant master? What attracted you to that role?
Um, the power exchange, the to educate also people, because like there's as much as there's like fun, there's risk in this, and like people have to be aware of the real facts, like when they're doing this, because you can get in situation with crazy people that like like the limits of BDSM are extreme. Like when you say extreme, I gave you a bit of sample, offline. You have a you have a little idea of like to what extent this can go. Like some people are like wild, not sane. Some people are extreme. Yeah, like something's wrong. And I say that from the biggest open mind, because like I respect anybody, because I know that it's not everybody that eats chocolate cake, or eats
Yeah,
meat, or like
yeah,
some people are vegetarian. So no one have the same taste, and who are we to to judge somebody's taste, but there's still when you have all the, because when you're a dominant, and like you teach this, and it's you hear a lot of stuff from like wild, from the extreme of everybody's experience, and like yeah, you have to make something good out of uh, this, to not, because people can be easily manipulated in BDSM. Some submissive are ready to so they have to be suited with the right partner, to have a playful relation, not being used. There's a big difference, in the practice of BDSM, from the pleasure to being used as an object. Some people just crave this to be used, and yeah, it's a desire, and it's just probably trauma based from past traumas that are because it's kind of they judge this as a therapy. BDSM, some therapy, it's a therapy for couple, it's like yeah, but to what extent? It's like anything, eh? You can go to the max, or so, but yeah, to people that are been abused younger, or stuff like that, BDSM is
yeah. I think it's that they call it the reenactment trauma, and that's what I think. In my understanding, just that's kind of what is being replayed here. It's the reenactment trauma of a lot of obviously severely, extremely abused children that have experienced abuse to the extreme. So I can imagine that on some level, that is therapeutic in a bizarre way. If you have the right partner, if you have the right partner, and that's why I say, if you, in my understanding, like if I'm just listening to what you're saying, and as a healer myself, it would make a lot of sense that when that type of abuse has been so extreme, that what is normal for a survivor, I can't for 1 second compare my normal to your normal. or somebody who's been through such extreme torture, because we know survivors are tortured, right? So I cannot judge someone else has been through that, their healing journey compared to my healing journey. If that reenactment of trauma is played out with a partner that you trust, and you know they're not going to let you down, you know that they understand your need for extreme pain, extreme trauma, extreme pleasure, because they identify with that, but they also understand there's a boundary and they're not going to let you cross that boundary. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's the way I'm understanding it now.
yeah, yeah. That's well. That's well put there, and yeah, like there. A lot of the people are also that are practicing BDSM are like there's a part that are like traumatized trauma victims, or like there's another part that are like people that are just wanting to that have this in them, like it's in their gene, like and there's people like there's a lot of rich people that like normal sex is not enough anymore, like they have to have like better and like more, and so uh this is a big part of the extreme BDSM, like those because like the regular stuff doesn't work anymore for them, like it's not good enough. So yeah, so
I know. I know we have spoken about some of that stuff, but I think we're probably going to need to have a censored show to talk about some of that stuff, which I wouldn't mind doing. Actually, we could maybe just do like a Patreon show. That would actually be a pretty good idea that we could do that, because I think the world that we live in is so different to what us normies have been led to believe. There is so much stuff going on, and whatever it is, whether it's cults, whether it's sex cults, whether it's religious cults, whatever it is, there's always something that the dark forces are playing around with. And I know, I mean, with survivors, it's always sexual trauma, right, from the get go, and whatever torture goes along with that. And then, of course, we're looking at this extreme BDSM where it's not enough just to be taken to the limit of your pain, but they actually want to go way, 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 way further. Something that you said to me, which was very interesting, is you spoke about there's a slave market for this. Can you explain that?
yeah, there's dominance, masters like train their slaves, and like there's auctions, and the rich people are paying like huge money for slaves that are well trained, and like because there's difference between the practice once in a while, in couple, or like there's couple that are doing this 24/7, and yeah, like the 24/7 is something really like different. It's a lot of work. You always have to keep your, because the deal like in this is that like the submissive doesn't want to have to deal with any issues in life. Like the only thing uh, like uh, it has to do is please the master. Okay, and but the master has to provide for everything else in the life, and keep the mind busy, keep like give routines, like keep it, like because like a slave is like has to be always busy, has to always have something in the mind, or like it's how that goes, and uh
Wow. So it's like bondage, it's like, so even if you have that master slave 24/7 relationship, and I've actually seen stuff like that. It was actually a program I watched where there was a couple who was literally exactly what you're talking about, and very happy to do it. Um,
Yeah.
the woman, I mean, she just loved being that, and he loved being the master. But it's like the it's bondage for both, right? The submissive being bound to her master, but at the same time, the master's got to entertain the slave. It's not just gonna sit there and watch Netflix
And
24/7, right?
no, so that's not how it goes. So yeah, you have to
E-
have like
Explain.
routines for them, and like you always have to add routine stuff to their routine because like they can't get used to the same. Like they always have to have more and more and more, and it's how this goes because like if you don't do this like that doesn't work, so you have always to add more stuff like gradually, but like to always soon as their comfort like oh they have their routine, no you add stuff so that they like that's what they're looking for, like in those relations, like yeah, that's. And some people have like like we're talking like uh, dominant submissive here, but like or slaves or like but there's pets also, people that want to be treated as pets, like yeah, like the practice are wild in BDSM, like yeah, there's so much like like people that are not used to this, like I would
Yeah, no, I
start
believe.
talking this like
So when,
a guy is crazy, like yeah. Yeah, but it's really like Mr. and Mrs. Everybody that does that. Like I know because like like that's the role of the master. So that's I've learned like all the people fantasies and stuff, and like there's a yeah a pattern to it. This too, like uh, yeah, a percentage of like people that are like in those practice, percentage in those practice. It's like but it's average, like pretty much. Yeah,
so you were saying that there's a whole market of extremely wealthy people that actually buy these slaves, these
yeah,
women who are trained to be slaves.
yeah.
So, are these couples that buy a slave for their enjoyment to do their housework? What does the slave do when a couple buys her?
Those slaves are supposedly like willing. They come with a contract, and like because like most of the BDSM relationships are like built with contract and all, and like for like a certain time, like example, like you can go, okay, we're doing this for 2 years, so I can't say nothing for 2 years, or like like and like you agree, like there's contracts for this for different types, of, like for single sessions or for like long term or like with all like what you like the hard limits, and like it's all well done, like those contracts it's well explained so that there's no like oh no so it's everything is clear on those contracts, but like you like anything like if a contract is brought to somebody that like in those auction, I'm sure there's like human traffic because like there's so many like people from every country, and like yeah, so I'm not sure that like they're all willing, and but this is something that you can check online, like slave auctions like there's sites for that, and they say their quality, their size, their pictures, and like so like yeah, like who trained them, and like that's like like their kind of pedigrees, and yeah, those are kind of like auctions, but like they're kind of like rental auctions also, like because like you can like do this for a certain time, like with the contracts. And so, but depending of what auctions, because like anything, there's extreme limits. And yeah, so but same base, same type of, yeah, like those auctions, the girls are in cages, like like and like those girls often that are like submissive 24, the pets and all, like they want to sleep in a cage. Like it's something that, yeah, like so probably from old traumas and all, because like there's a lot of people that went through like those kind of traumas, like it's so, yeah, that's a good way to find them. Like the
Did you, I mean, if you think back on the when you were involved in the scene,
yeah.
and if you look back to that now from where you're at, and yeah, he's just for clarity's sake for the viewers, no, Chris is not involved anymore, but he's happy to talk to us and share with us that experience. Did you see, did you feel, do you think you did any healing within yourself by being in BDSM? Did that heal
Well,
your traumas at all?
yeah, because like I'll give you the key to this, okay? Like everything is in the perception. So, like, if you master the way to change perception of someone through the help of sex, of like orgasm, or like like pain, pleasure, or whatever, okay? Like, and if you master this change of perception, and like to like remove blinders, um that's when like everything changed. That's where you heal. That's where you uh, but you have to like the key is to change the perception of how you see things. Like
Mm.
there's different ways to see things, but like if you see something like, oh, that's bad, but like if you saw it 500 times, like at some point, and like worse, or like you get to like like, so you have to use, it's a bit of like head manipulation, like mind fuck at some
Totally.
point, like, but like
Yeah.
yeah, there's healing in this, like for sure, like, but like they can be like huge trauma, for like so yeah, you just have to find the right partners. Like it's not something you do like you go and get tied up by the on the first date, like by somebody you don't know, like because yeah, that can turn bad. So
Yeah, and I'd say that can turn bad pretty damn quickly. If you get tied
yeah,
up by someone on the first date, you'd end up on Tinder horror stories.
yeah, like
Tinder
there's a lot
first
of
date
horror
horror
stories
stories.
like that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow. So that's actually bringing me to the question or the topic on subspace, what we were talking about earlier on. And it's what you're saying. It's a matter of perception. It's a matter of understanding how to manipulate someone else's mind and exactly that subspace, because it's what you were telling me in a previous conversation is that it's that absolute combination of pain and pleasure that becomes addictive. It's
yeah,
much more addictive than any drug you can imagine. So when you've transcended, I guess, that pain, you then move into that space of bliss, where is, I guess, that orgasmic space that you can stay in for up to days sometimes. Is that right?
yeah. So like if like you're yeah, you can be kept on like a subspace like state for like yeah, a couple of days, like it's draining, like after like people will sleep like for days, but like
Yeah.
the
So that subspace is the space then where you can manipulate them into
Yeah, change their
doing
perception.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Right,
and
right.
open their
So
mind to other stuff. Open like push their limits. Play with their because like they're easily manipulated at that point. It's
give me an
like
example.
MK
Give me an
Ultra, like when they're dissociating us after, like we're all good, like and like we're taking all that, and like BDSM also has like hypnosis, so people can be programmed to like there's hypnosis is there's a wide variety in this, and there's extremes also into hypnosis, like take MK Ultra or like take I want to stop smoking. There's a big difference, but like there's more.
yes, of
So
course.
yeah,
Wow.
uh, it-
So
yeah,
that would really
hypnosis
be
is something touchy. Like there's a lot of people that are willing to go get hypnosed during BDSM and all, and yeah, like you gotta trust the people that you're being hypnosed by, and because yeah, you can
I
be
can
cheated
definitely,
into this.
yeah, no, look, I can understand that. So is it accurate to assume that they were using you as a handler
Yeah,
in the
to
BDSM scene?
yeah, to train girls to like be the best of the best. So yeah, that's really like because I look at it like I was just led to this by the under that like so yeah like they were just trying to push me into this because I have a I stood for that I guess or I have
Right.
the open
Yeah.
minded like to and non I won't judge somebody practice or because I know
Yeah.
there's yeah
It's interesting because I'm, you know me, my, I think I like to think about things and I connect the dots where I can. And it's interesting for me that, once you started reclaiming your memories, and then that's when you lost everything, your businesses, etc.,
yeah
etc. They arrested you, they set you up, you went to jail for 2 years. During that time, they also took your kids and put them in a juvenile facility. And then as you come out of jail, not long after that, you meet someone who grooms you, if you will, into the BDSM scene. BDSM scene. Is that what I say? Yeah.
yeah
Um, and it's of course you would have had to have had an aptitude to want to go in that direction anyway. So again, to me, it's like that's where they would have taken you or suggested or you know through all of it's so bizarre, your experiences understood that that's where you would fit in best. And it's interesting for me. I would love to know how they plan these things because if I'm not mistaken, and you can answer me or not, your partner you were with at the time, she was the same partner that literally was being used to take you out. You spoke about
yeah
that in the last interviews we did, that the
yeah
woman that you were with at the time was poisoning you, and literally her job was to take you out. So they were obviously watching you and keeping tabs on you, right?
yep. So that was the goal, and yeah, like they were using me that way. Like that was like Yeah. It's all a matter of control or who controls who, eh? So, yeah,
Yeah, it's a transference of power, and I know I definitely want to do a follow-up show, but maybe talking about more sensitive topics. So I'm careful what I want to say, yeah, because I don't want
yeah,
to get struck quite yet. Quite happy to sort of take it further. But you talk about safety, ethics, training, stuff like that. Explain to us that part. I know, and in fact, I have it here. You've actually sent me a checklist.
yeah,
So, pretty much, there's a checklist. I'm not going to go through the whole thing now, of I think 9 pages long that couples would fill out
yeah.
if they came to you. So how did it work? Let's say I wanted to go and I'm interested in BDSM. How do I find someone who's going to,
You gotta
I don't
look a
know,
bit into it, like to find those people. There's and like you go on those like BDSM forums, and like you ask a bit about this, and like people will refer you. People are still friendly, like in those forums and all. Like they're helpful, like in guiding people to like
right?
take the right path. And like anyway, like most of the people are like that, and yeah, like you just it's you you practice, like you study like what you want, like you, because there's different like in those forums, like there's different like kinks and like and yeah, people from there like find what they're looking for. And
Do
but
you find
yeah,
it's is it getting more popular? I mean, is the BDSM culture growing? Is it becoming more popular? Would you say that?
yeah, it is like with the phenomena of 50 Shades of Grey that was like opened the eyes,
What do
and
you
like it's 50 Shades of Grey like was kind of got this to everybody, like look, like it's a normal practice, like you see the extreme, like, but you don't see the real extreme in this. That's like a fairy tale of like, but still gives an idea of the potentials, and like like a bit the practice and all. But yeah, like since this came out, like a lot of people, couples are like showed interest and like curiosity towards this, and like yeah, so they're yeah, it's there's a big market for
Were
this,
you
like for the
operating during the 50 Shades of Grey era?
yeah, like that's when I opened my place, and yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, there were like a lot of demand for this, like yeah, and that people are not aware of all like what it is really, like like when you just like go with the stranger with 50 Shades of Grey, like it's not representative of the real, like but some people, once they tried, they're like absolute addicts, and some people are just turned off, like it's not for them, like but yeah, usually when you look into it and you go to because yeah, you have a need for this somehow, like yeah,
So do you think that when 50 Shades of Grey came out, and I think that was somewhere around 2015 or 2014, if I remember correctly,
yeah,
maybe about a decade ago, right? Do you think that was the them again soft grooming the general public to be coerced more into maybe more kinky sex? Do you
Yeah.
think that was part of the grooming process for humanity as well? And especially
Yeah.
if you say people became more interested then, more sort of interested in the more, I guess, fetish like, right? So, becoming, and I guess it gave people on some level permission, right, to express their fetishes, because I'm sure a lot of people probably have, and especially in the past, right, have had fetishes that they were maybe too ashamed or too scared to express. So suddenly, as a platform in which I can just be as kinky as what I want. What do you say about that? Did you find a lot of that happening when you were involved?
Yeah. Like, well, from 50 Shades of Grey, like, yeah, people were, have been like, it's kind of a propaganda tool at the same time. Like, I don't say that it was based to be a propaganda tool, but like, the elites want to cut the bound of like a regular couple that are in love and all, and like show that like sex is like sex, and like, but yeah, like, at some same time, there's couples that are true BDSM are so like, they couldn't be with anybody else after like the everything they do, or like, they open themselves with the partner, and they build something that like, to build this with somebody else after would be like, wow. So, yeah, some relations are really strong through BDSM, like stronger than any like other relationship, kind of just because of the trauma
Yeah,
bonding, and like, the open mind.
exactly.
So yeah, it's a mix of this, that so like there's successful stories in BDSM, and there's horror stories. Like, you just have to like, yeah, go with logic, even. S- So yeah, and like, BDSM is not always just sex. Sometimes it's just the submission. The sex is not even like, in the game. Like, like some people don't have that desire of sex, or like they just want to be used, like, like, oh, I want to be at your table, like, you put your feet on it, and like, so yeah, kind of, or your ashtray, or like, and like, you top their cigarette in their mouth, and and they, there's wild varieties, like, I'm saying wild stuff like that, just a bit to like, give an example of, yeah, there's so much stuff, like, and like, it's, like drag queens or stuff like that, like, they have their thing, like, uh yeah, like, who are we to, judge, like, as long as it's not like on our kids, and like, like, so
Yeah,
yeah.
unfortunately, there's so many of these people were the kids, and as I have no doubt, it's in many instances, it's trauma reenactment, and
Yeah.
as you say, that trauma bonding, and it's not so much about the sex per se, but more the fetish, the desire to be controlled and be submissive, because that's all you really know, and somehow now this has become a massive part of people's lives where they can do this. I and as you say, I think it can be very healing. There's, I honestly feel this can be very healing for someone if they have a partner that is on the same
attentive
page.
to the problem or to the healing thing
But
that did like
yes,
that's
but
needed.
has yes, and has probably been through something similar. And
Yeah,
maybe both of them see the benefit of going through this as trauma reenactment and, yes, getting some weird kick out of it. But at the end of the day, being doing it with someone rather than someone you fear as someone you love and can trust now. So,
yeah.
yeah, something like
And
that.
the aftercare also, because like like a session at BDSM, like there's the preparative, there's the session, but there's the aftercare. After a session, like like you have to take care of your submissive, and like it's like a moment, like like you talk, you. You think like like you reassure, you comfort, you like like you were good, blah blah blah, like like just to
Yeah,
and but
that bonding.
this is like a moment that like like regular couples don't have, like after sex or stuff like that.
Yeah,
But those moments are really like to build like those
yeah,
relation, like BDSM relationships. This the aftercare is really like major part of like like a good relationship in the BDSM. And yeah, like that's a nice side of BDSM. That's not like for like it's
yeah.
not
No,
everybody
I
that
get it.
does that. So yeah,
I totally get that, and I was going to actually ask about the aftercare because I would imagine not just on a physical level, you got to take care of yourself for a day or two. But
yeah.
there again, I would imagine a lot of these people enjoy pain, so they probably like it. Like it. I don't know.
The bruise, like
Um,
healing the bruise,
yeah,
like put cream or like because like some people get bruised or whatever, like the practice is. But yeah, like so we have to take care of the skin, take like like just yeah, it's a mix of that's a mix of all this BDSM. So, but so much aspect that are like close to MK Ultra for the programming, for the perception of stuff, like like the dissociation, like subspace and dissociation. Uh, yeah, the trauma bonding. The like it's a lot that are not straight like but like really parallel, like kind of uh
mm,
yeah,
for
good.
sure. Totally. I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, the connection is so strong. Between the
Yeah.
two. So, how did you get out of? Because you had your own what practice, right? You had your
Yeah.
own right.
Yeah.
So how did you get out? What made you leave the scene?
It's just that like I had a 24/7 at some point, like a relation, like a BDSM relationship, and that was taking a lot of my time. And like at some point you get like always the same thing too, like and uh I just started the other stuff, and like had other business too. And like the other business was really demanding a lot of time, and but like there were a lot of money coming in. So at some point, like and me and my ex, like we kind of like separated and all. And uh a submissive can be a submissive with without a master, and like a master can't be a master without a submissive, so. And I didn't want to have to like start back all the training and all, because like like to get somebody to like yeah, it takes a while, and also like yeah, it's just like I'm okay with the normal stuff, like without it being like the extreme and all, like so yeah, it's I help a lot of people, like for sure, like like because like people that don't know what they're doing can like uh simple bondage, like you can like create that permanent damage to somebody, like when you're tying up somebody like uh for hours in the same position, like like you can't cut the circulation, like the nerve damage or stuff like that. You have to know what you're doing. So like yeah, it was a nice job, like to like show out to do not and stuff like that, and like like talk with couples about sex and like their perversion and stuff, and like yeah, was, that's the nice part. But yeah, like it's too demanding at some point. Like there's not only this in life. Like yeah, like. Yeah, to put your accent all your life on this, like like there's, yeah. So
Oh, mm.
mm.
Wow.
But
If
I still
you,
like
if
to
there was,
to pull the hair and but yeah, like that won't change. But yeah, like, that's
okay. So if there
uh,
was anything that you would say to a couple right now, like or someone wanting to go in, what advice would you give to people or couples or yeah, what advice would you give?
to fill out those like sample those checklists, but with honesty, like like. Because if people are honest, like from the beginning, and like they can do like so, like I saw like the strongest couples in BDSM. Honestly, like like that the bond, like so there's there's good potential in this, but yeah, you have to like be honest and like from the beginning, so you know if you're with the right partner or not, like like um, work on like little like kind of a routine or like a evolution chart. You do like
Mhm.
like where you want to go, and like and you plan ahead, and like so anyway, that's tools that I was using for BDSM, like usually people are using, and like this is like fun to do, like it's like fill out those checklists, like it's kind of cute, like you do this in couple, or like each in your room, and like you're all minded, like it's a stimulating tool, like and communication tool for sure.
Right. Wow. So interesting, and there's so much more we could definitely talk about, and I definitely would
Yeah,
like to, yeah, because it is definitely an extreme practice, um, and I think there's so much. I mean, me as a healer, there's so much psychology behind stuff, these types of practices, especially when it goes to these extremes, and especially when there's pain involved. Um, but I can, as I was saying, I can totally get, I really do get that this is trauma reenactment healing. So they would, yeah, there's something
yeah,
about that. I mean, I don't physically understand it, I've never been there, but it makes a lot of sense in my mind that is, it could be a very bonding practice for couples who've been through something very traumatic like that. Wow. Anyway, Chris, I will definitely have you back with this topic. I think it'll be nice to do actually an in-depth show on that as well, and just understand more about it. Maybe, as I said, I don't want to get us struck, not quite yet.
Yeah,
So do it on a more censored platform, actually. So that'll be amazing. Is there anything you want to say to the viewers? Anything from you before we bid each other farewell?
yeah. Well, just to like be conscious that like mind control and like control, like exchange of control. There's like it's similar in like to like MK Ultra and also like yeah, like people that are there's a lot of people that have been through MK Ultra that are now in BDSM, like and are like are touching in those different practice that BDSM, the global BDSM touches. So like yeah, it's interesting to see the link and just to understand like how we work, kind of thing. Like that's
Yeah,
the
for
goal.
sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Chris.
Thanks.
And
Thank you.
everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Wow, very, very interesting topic. And we could certainly be discussing that for another few hours, which I'm definitely hoping Chris will join us for another few hours. Um, very, very interesting indeed. There's a lot on this topic. And I was also like talking about I was looking at the checklist, Chris.
Yeah.
Bondage light, bondage heavy, bondage rope, bondage encasement, bondage suspension. How many different
That's
types of bondages are there? You
oh
guys,
yeah.
there's a whole list here.
Yeah,
Wow.
there's cool stuff like, but there's extreme on this like too like
Yeah.
so it's just like a
No,
global
look.
kind of the practices like regular practices that people are asking for. So like it gives you an idea of like the the kind of practice of like the normal people. Yeah,
Sure.
behind closed walls. So.
Walls and doors.
Yeah, because
Sometimes
those
it's walls.
peoples are often like I stature, I position, like people that like that make a lot of money and all, and like yeah, they do the doggy dog. So like
Yeah, exactly. Listen,
so
I've certainly heard of that, and I mean, in my experience, I've definitely come across, and I don't want to go into detail, but yeah, some high level people um, who definitely have some strange habits. That's for sure. I
yeah,
think it's all that power that just sits up there and they have nothing going through the heart. But
yeah,
anyway, no judging. We here we not judging.
that's it. Yeah, right on.
Awesome to talk to you. Thank you so
Yes,
much. And
thank you.
look forward to having you back. Cool.
Thanks.
Chris, yeah, I think we will, all your details will be in the description area. If anyone would like
Yeah,
to get a copy of Chris's book, Terror at Montauk, all the details in the description area, website, etc. Yay, everybody. There, I disappeared for a minute. But I appreciate your watching and enjoying delving deeper into these sensitive topics. It's important we understand these things. God bless you all. Take good care. And I'll see you very, very soon. Thank you, Chris. Bye,
thanks.
everybody.